All right. We are live, I believe. Yes, we are. Yay! Okay. Wow. It is very March Madnessy and it's only getting started. We still have a lot of March Madnessy stuff to get through. So we're going to start with a little incident that happened in Valdosta this week. Imagine that, another incident. Um, we're going to go over some Valdosta resources. We're putting together some really awesome stuff for people in Lowndes County. They're going to be just a massive amount of the resources that are available. Resources in Lowndes are a little bit limited, but what's available, we want to make sure we get it all in there. So, still working on getting all of that together to be able to present to you and share the link, and we'll keep that pinned to the top of our social media pages so that everybody can easily find that if they're looking for any kind of resource around Lowndes County. So we'll go over a little bit of what we're doing with that as well. And Broken Arrow. We're going to talk about Broken Arrow like we're a broken record. We're also going to mention um, Lowndes County. There are fugitives that really, really need to be caught, and um, we're hopeful that not all of them have to be caught through additional charges. Now, violating your probation, not registering, things like that's an additional charge as is. I'm talking people getting caught in the act of committing more crimes, and that's as how they get brought in a lot of the time. That's a big problem. If we can find fugitives that are missing from the Valdosta area that are registered, well, that are sex offenders who are right now running from registering, if we can find them, they can find them. Or they could just follow the information we have given them. Either way works. So we'll go over, just one example of that. And we're going to try to be really, really trying to decide on the right word. We're going to try to give every opportunity that we can for the authorities to step in and do what they need to do. We don't have a badge, so we can't do it all. We can search all kinds of things and find things, whether it be locally, on the internet, through digital footprint, whatever it may be. But we don't have a badge. We can't do anything about it. So we also, the incident that we're going to talk about is a man that got hit on a bike by a city truck in Valdosta last week. And let me pull that up really quickly. It is very, very sad. Um, the man is in critical condition still, I believe. We're going to double check. We'll look that up right now. It was not a young man, so that's even more um, concerning since, younger folks bounce back a little easier than some who are, not in a peak physical condition. We don't know what kind of physical condition this person was in prior to the accident, of course, but they were out riding a bike, a regular bicycle, not a motorcycle. So on March 7th, 2024, at approximately 10:50 a.m., Valdosta police officers responded to the intersection of North Ashley Street and East Gordon Street for a traffic incident involving a pedestrian. Valdosta Fire Department and Emergency Medical Services responded to basically provide aid to the pedestrian, find out what happened, make a report, and they were transported to the South Georgia Regional Medical Center. The Valdosta Police Department traffic unit responded to conduct the investigation. Through that investigation, evidence was collected at the scene. Officers determined that a a city of Valdosta public works truck was waiting at the intersection to turn north onto Ashley Street. When the traffic light turned green, though, the large truck began to turn right, and at the same time, the man that was on the bicycle, he was traveling west on East Gordon Street. He approached the intersection on the passenger side of the truck. The bicyclist began to attempt to cross North Ashley Street on East Gordon Street. The driver could not see the bicyclist, they claimed, which resulted in the truck striking and running over the bicyclist, who is a 56-year-old man. So he's now been transported to Florida and is in critical condition still from the time of this reporting. I saw something just the other day and it said that he was in critical condition as well. So I really think he still is. So definitely keep that man in mind as he's probably just his body's probably trying to recover from this very blunt force object that came his way and he just was not expecting. There's a video of the incident that's circulating on social media. Due to the sensitivity and graphic nature of the video, the Valdosta Police Department does not endorse the release of this video. If you have the video or if you've seen it, try not to share it. I mean, it's just not, it's probably not something that needs to be widely shared. Our thoughts and prayers go out to everyone who is involved in this accident, said Chief Leslie Manahan. So it says also that the incident is still under investigation. So if you have any information on it, you can contact the police department at 229-242-2606, the crime tip line at 229-293-3091, or file a tip online at the valdostacity.com /police/department, or sorry, -department. So you can share that information. You can try to share that information with them if you have any information. Again, we highly just support doing your part, no matter what you think the outcome might be or might not be. Okay, so that's one of the things that happened. Now, another topic I want to talk about really quickly is something that we're going to start talking about more, and it's a bit of a touchy subject. It's something that I don't quite know how we want to approach yet, but it's something that I think has to be talked about, and basically that is trafficking around the Georgia area that is disguised as adoption. Now, there are so many adoption agencies in Georgia. Many of them over the years have been shut down. Most of them worked internationally, and most of them have been alleged to have disturbing practices. In some cases, they didn't keep good books or various things that they were actually able to be found guilty of. And their licenses usually were just removed. A lot of these people have never faced any type of criminal charges or anything like that. A lot of these organizations also do business in Florida. It seems to be a pretty common theme. So we want to tackle that and talk about it. And we have people we can draw from. We have people we can bring on to talk about it, and we're just trying to organize exactly how we want to bring this up. So there is definitely a adoption to trafficking pipeline in the Georgia area. This does also affect the South Georgia area, which is where Valdosta is. Now, there are several agencies that we have spent time looking into. We have pulled a lot of documents, a lot of records, and we feel like a lot of these stories need to be told. We need to also expose the people who are involved in this. Don't forget, recently we talked about a DCF worker close to Valdosta who was charged with and has received life in prison for assault on children. Now, that DCF worker had ties that went to other counties. They also were, Lowndes County in Valdosta is not where they were charged and arrested and sentenced. It was a different county. However, they have a relationship with people in Valdosta, and that person, there's photos out there of them at the courthouse in Lowndes County with other people with adoption groups. If you follow these roads and these paths, you can find the same things that we have found. So we're going to talk more about that, some of the stories. Maybe we'll bring some people on eventually. And we're just going to try and make people more aware of what this actually is. I mean, there are people in around Georgia that regularly see signs for adoption. I'm talking like puppy mill style baby adoptions and babies, toddlers, um, all the way up to, 7 to 12 years old. Some of these kids are domestic. Some of these kids come from Haiti, Ukraine, Russia. Um, because there's the list just goes on. They come from places that I could name that no one here has probably ever even heard from or heard of. They get them over here. They wipe them clean of having any type of documentation of where they come from. It's a whole process, and the places where they end up is really really horrendous. So we're going to talk more about that going forward, and we just have to iron out exactly which stories we're going to go over, because there are a lot of them. So let me bring up something else that kind of ties into that a little bit. We've talked about this before, many times actually. So I want to play a video real quick. Hold on before we go over this. Sorry that took longer to get than I thought it would. Let me share the screen real quick and play something really briefly for everybody, and then we're going to continue talking about this whole issue with children who are being trafficked under the guise of adoption around the South Georgia area. It goes into a lot of different paths, a lot of different avenues, counties, states, countries, you name it. The reason is because Georgia has very lax laws regarding adoption. They have changed some of them over time, but they're very lax. They're very laid back about what they do with adoptions, and many people were allowed to not even be in the area in any kind of significant way and be running an adoption agency. Um, and like I said, the places they ended up were horrendous. Now, some of these children would have to perform certain acts for people, of course, as you hear a lot about in child trafficking. This also goes into Project Broken Arrow, which Lowndes County vastly failed at. So listen to this really quickly.
Human trafficking cases we've made in the last 6 or 8 months, and of course we know there's a problem out there, and it's a priority with the governor's wife, which I'm really glad she's pushed it because she's helped get more personnel for the GBI and more funding, and we've always had a good relationship with them. They work great with us, and so I was very excited about the operation, and it was very fruitful. 14 people off the street. And sometimes you have complaints and you go on the internet, it brings bad people into your county. Well, I think the furthest away we had on this one was like Douglas, Georgia. We did have one from South Carolina, but he was working here. So, but I don't care where they come from, as long as we get them in jail, get them away from my children. So, I have 5 children, they're grown, but they've got children that live here, and, it's a bad situation, something really needs to be looked at. Look forward to working with them on some more cases, wherever she wants to go, we're gonna go with her. In our case, we've had several,
And that's Sheriff Ashley Polk. Okay, let's flip over to one more really quickly here. Oh, I lost it, I think, already. All right. Okay, let me pull up one document here and then we're going to talk about this. Okay, so not trying to be super repetitive, but I just want to make sure everybody gets the idea. There are multiple issues going on in South Georgia that unfortunately, um, unfortunately lead into all the same path. When it comes to sex offenders, people are doing it in different ways, of course. So you have the issue with adoptions where children domestically or internationally can end up in the hands of people who have, you don't, oftentimes good people want to do things the right way, right? I think we could all agree with that. So good people want to go and obtain a child if they cannot have a child of their own, or they want to help out society in general by adopting a child, somebody who needs a home. They want to do it the right way. They want to do it on the up and up. They want to know that they are part of a legal process. People who have ill intent do it other ways. Just like people who have ill intent find ways to get access to children, to teens, um, to take part in illegal conduct. If they wanted to be a good influence, they would go through good legal paths to get access to children to have a good impact on them, like people do in the community all the time. There are good coaches, there are good people in churches, even though a lot of people don't believe that anymore. There are still some good people out there in churches. There are good people at schools, teachers. They're not all bad, but we also have to accept that there's anytime you put humans in the mix, there's a possibility of things going badly. You cannot prejudge what a human is going to do, not going to do, what kind of proclivities they have, what are the secrets that they don't talk about. We never know that. So we want to tackle as many of those roads as possible and share the research that we've done in Lowndes County, and things that we've uncovered, like Broken Arrow, like the adoption agencies who are illegally letting children go into the hands of people who want to hurt them, all for a buck. And it's not as much money as you think. Most people will pay $50 to $100 to to sexually assault a child or a teen. You can illegally adopt a child and pay cash for less than $5,000. People have done it even in the South Georgia area. And they just want to cover this up. Or you have adoption agencies who also go and take money from people, with the promise of giving them a child and never produce the child. Of course, you have that too, but we're less interested in that because there's not a, the only victim is the victimization of that money, of robbing someone of that money. When there's a child behind it, we're more interested. So we've dug into those roads a little bit more. So anyways, we're going to share those things, but also Broken Arrow. So we do all this research, we collect all this information, we find people who are internationally, and domestically trafficking children under the guise of adoption. We're uncovering all these things. But then what happens next? What happens next? Do you even know? Do we know? Nobody knows. Because at the present moment, nothing is happening. So here's what I mean by that. We've talked about this before. We're going to talk about it again. And I wanted to give you just a brief little summary so that as I start to upload things over the next week or two, things that have been previously recorded, everybody kind of knows what's coming and what we're talking about. So if we have new people joining us to discuss some of these topics, everybody is aware. So Broken Arrow, back in 2020, the GBI worked with Lowndes County and other agencies to bring together what was called Operation Broken Arrow. Operation Broken Arrow was meant to um, kind of filter out sexual offenders and bring them in, charge them, move them through the system, get them either, when you do something like that, the bare minimum, you want them on the registry. You want to hold them accountable for seeking out that type of behavior. So, with that being said, they did that. And they, of course, found people and they brought them in. Now, they boasted this. There were several press conferences by the GBI, by Lowndes County, by Sheriff Polk. They, Valdosta, they were very boastful about it. Why? Because you pay a lot of money for this. Taxpayers' dollars go into doing an operation like this because you're getting the help of a state agency. You're getting the help of the sheriff's department with the city police. You're getting help all over the map. Takes money, right? But then they bring them all in and they let them go. Some of them had to register, not all. Some of them had to appear in court. Almost everybody's charges were dismissed or suspended. They used different wording for it. None of them went to jail. Well, I take that back. One of them did. I mean, we're talking even someone from the university employee being brought in, significant employees of the university. I forget his exact title. That's why I'm not saying it right now, but significant, employees of the university in Valdosta were brought in. Nothing happened. Some of them even ended up being fugitives after the fact. One of them was just arrested. I was told right before this live, there's no paperwork on the person, why they were arrested, but they're back in custody because they've done something else. Not because they were a fugitive, so they went and sought them out and found them and brought them in to be accountable for. It's because they did something else. That's highly unacceptable. It's also highly unacceptable to go and seek out, use taxpayers' money, go and seek out predators, bring them in, and then just let them go. Just let them go on their way. Why do it? It makes no sense to do this, to spend everybody's time and money on doing this. How many missing people were the GBI responsible for finding during this time in 2020? All those hours could have went there. All those hours could have went to a cold case. Instead of reeling in a bunch of predators and then letting them go. Unaccounted for, off the books. We're just going to suspend all of this. 2 of them, I'm told, are currently absconded, which means they're wanted. And also the Valdosta University person who was brought in was the dean. He was a dean, not the dean, a dean. So, what are you supposed to do with that? So what do? We track down all this information, we find good leads, we find good tips, we turn them in, we try to be diligent, all these things, and then nothing happens. What do you do with that? So we kind of have to go back and start there. We need help. We need help from other people in the area who want to come together to make sure that their community is safe, to make sure that Valdosta is a safe place for kids, a safe place to go and enjoy the outdoors, a safe place just to live. And you can't do that if this is happening. Was it an issue of resources within the court system? The courts have been backlogged ever since COVID. That happened since before COVID in Georgia. That happened in 2020. What was it? Was it resources? Was it some other problem? A technicality that they didn't foresee? The problem is we haven't been able to obtain the proper paperwork to see what it was. What was the problem? Why were these people let off after they were clearly caught trying to engage in criminal ways with children? Makes no sense. So we'll go over more of those. Now, one person who was brought in was a previous offender. And I just want to show everybody really quickly. We're going to get him a little file put together for everybody on these fugitives so you can see who I'm talking about. And so that if you see them, you can help us by reporting that you have seen them out somewhere. So let's check this out. Let me share this page. This is Alonzo Flukas. Now, we've been talking about Alonzo Flukas for months. Months. But why is really the best question. Why are we talking about him months later? There's no reason to be. He's wanted out of Lowndes County. Let's read this real quick. This isn't from way before 2020. This is from 2015. The Valdosta police need your help in finding a man wanted on charges involving harm to minors. According to investigators, Alonzo Flukas is wanting for enticing a child for indecent purposes and electronically furnishing obscene materials to minors. Okay, so that's 2015. Fast forward to 2020. He's not part of Broken Arrow, but I do believe I'm getting sourced information behind the scenes here. I'm told that he was not part of Broken Arrow. That I do remember, but didn't he have additional charges in 2020? The great data commander will let me know in just a moment, so we'll follow up in just a moment. However, 2015, he had the charges for enticing a minor. Yes, he did have additional charges in 2020. So without getting into that, let's just say 2015, he is on the run for enticing a minor. He finally gets brought in later in 2020 because, they're not making these people actually serve significant time for doing these things. So fast forward 2020, he has obtained more charges. He has been wanted, I believe, since then. If I am incorrect, the data command can let me know. However, he received more charges, and after receiving more charges, he's been wanted ever since. So I believe he's been wanted since at bare minimum 2020. That's 4 years. So what's he been doing? Well, we found him. And for right now in this episode, what I'm going to say is he is in Cook County, Georgia, quite regularly. There's one other county that he hangs out in too. All of this information has been shared over time for months. Nothing has been done. No one is bringing this man in. We know right where he is. We watch him on a live stream every Sunday. That's how visible he is. We know exactly where he is every Sunday, and we've told authorities that. If you'd like to watch the live stream with us, here's the link. Now, why is it that he is still wanted? Cook County is not far from Lowndes County. It's just like the next county over. He lives with children on a daily basis, some that are not his own. We know what happens when you put sex offenders with children on a daily basis, day in and day out, in the daytime and at nighttime. with children who are not theirs. We've seen it every day on a weekly basis. What happens? This man shares a home with children who are not his own. He is in the community on a weekly basis with children who are not his own, interacting with them. So he's interacting weekly with children in the community and daily with children at home who are all not his. What happens when sex offenders have access to children who are not theirs? Unquestioned access. So we're going to give just a little bit more time for this information to be acted on. But his name is Alonzo Flukas, and he goes by AJ. He goes by a few different things. He also goes by Prince Fluke, and that's PRINCEFLUC. If you happen to interact with him on Snapchat, if it's an underage individual, I hope you're keeping an eye on them. Because again, he has been caught for enticing minors, and he is roaming around the Cook County, Georgia area. From what we know, he may still be in and out of Lowndes. He's traveled to Florida in, like the recent last year or so. He's on Instagram. He's on Facebook. He's on Snapchat. He seems to like a lot of the apps that younger kids like. What a coincidence. So anyways, if you see him, make sure you report it. He is wanted by the Lowndes County Sheriff's Department for being a wanted sex offender for enticing a child and additional charges that I don't have up right this moment, but we will talk about it more. So I hope that if anybody sees him, you join us in reporting him so that maybe eventually something will get done. You just never know. We have seen one other fugitive be brought in recently. There were two, I believe, before that, like a month or so ago. All of them brought in because they had reoffended in some other kind of way that didn't have to do with children. So they were brought in. So by accident, they got caught in the act doing something else unrelated to sex crimes. And then they were brought in and realized, oh, this person's wanted. So let's book him. That's how this is happening. So I hope everybody can, like I said, join us in looking out for these people. We'll go over more people on the list. And also I want to do one more thing just to show everybody that I'm not being crazy. Lowndes County Sheriff Department, Valdosta, Georgia. Did I just say that out loud with my mic on? I absolutely did. Okay, so let's go here to the Lowndes County Sheriff's Department. There's Fine Ashley Polk, Sheriff Ashley Polk. And if we go to their sex offenders, that's not their full list. I can't operate anything today. Why am I not going to their regular sex offenders? Here we go. Okay. So I just want to show everybody really quickly before we move on, and then I promise I will stop talking about AJ Flukas. But we literally months we have been working on this since last year. Actually, we have been working on this since last year, trying to get him brought in. We sit and watch him every Sunday on a live stream where there are, children, community members, people that are a little bit too trusting usually with their children. They're all there. And they have no idea that this dude is a sex offender, I'm sure. Positive. They don't know. Here we go. So, just so that everybody can clearly see, this highlighted in the yellow is Alonzo Flukas. Right here it says he's wanted. You can provide a tip right here online if you want to. Statutory rape. He has no assigned risk level, which is not odd for their county. They don't seem to assign a risk level to any of them. But he is definitely wanted. We're not playing games here. He looks a little older in this picture, but this picture is slightly more accurate to what he looks like now. He has a lot of indicators to be able to tell that it's him. So we will get a file together, put it out there for everybody to be able to look at and see, so that you can properly identify him if you happen to see him. So just as a follow-up, AJ Flukas, 2015, statutory rape. 2015, 2 counts of child molestation. 2016, obscene internet contact with a child. 2018, failure to register. 2019, failure to register. 2019, probation violation. 2021, failure to appear for a fingerprintable charge. And he has been wanted since 2020. And we've been sharing information since last year about where he is. Not a general area. We know exactly where he is every week. And he's visible on a public live stream. This is no secret. So I hope that they will bring him in and make him accounted for. Because his girlfriend has kids that aren't his. And he's in the home with them every day. They say they're married. I don't know if it's like a legal thing that they're legally married, him and his girlfriend, or if they just call it that. Either way, whatever their arrangement is, he's around children every day that are not his. In one of his documentations, one of his documents from court, I was able to see where he was clarifying what children he would or wouldn't be around. So I do believe that he is supposed to provide to law enforcement if he is living with children. So they know none of that right now. They also don't know that every week he's spending time with other people's children out in the community in a close knit setting. Okay, I'm going to get off that now. But I do appreciate everybody listening to that. So another thing that we're going to do is we are going to put together this big hub of Lowndes resources for everybody, from domestic violence to mental health help to help for teens, food banks, all of it. I was hoping to showcase that tonight. We're not going to showcase that tonight. But I do want to mention one thing that I happen to see of somebody really great that everybody will get to know a little bit better here, that helps me out in gathering resources and different things. So they have helped me gather some information that I think I would really, really like to mention tonight, which is, let me scroll down here just a minute. There are free food pantry box locations around the Lowndes County area. I'd like to mention where they're at really quickly. We'll get these on our official page for our resources as well, so that everybody has this. But the front yard of the Southside Recreational Center at 604 South Oak Street in Valdosta, they have a food pantry, or they have a free food pantry box there. The front yard of LAMP, Lowndes Associated Ministry to People, 714 Charlton Street. Also, the Bemis United Methodist Church, their box is located right next to the church, visible from Bemis Road. And it says Wednesdays and Thursdays, 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. You can go to the church office and get a couple bags of groceries, proteins, fresh fruits and vegetables sometimes. Then over on the other side of the wall of Miller Hardware downtown, 211 East Hill Avenue, there is also a box. On the front wall of the Children's Advocacy Center at 3325 Skipper Bridge Road in Valdosta, there's a box there. We also have another one over at the front porch of the Greater Valdosta United Way office, 1609 North Patterson Street. And I want to mention really quickly, some of these resources, we've compiled a lot already and we have them. So if you're in need of them before we get them out there to the public, let us know. If you have a situation going on and you don't know where to go or where to get that help, reach out to us, whether it be on social media, TitletownScanner@gmail.com. Either way, just let us know what you need. We'll do our best to help you out. And also legal resources. If you need to know of a good legal resource within the Lowndes County area, let us know. We'll help you out. We'll let you know what lawyers in the area are genuinely trying to help people out in that area. So then over on the wall of the Salvation Army building at 320 Smithland Place, they have a box as well. The front door of Partnership Health Center at 520 Griffin Avenue, Then over on South Street Community Care House has boxes of food, canned and fresh, available to people driving through from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m., 311 South Street. Then the Hihera Pantry has been installed over at Weich Park. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. Non-perishable food donations accepted at the food pantry and at City Hall. West Main Street near City Hall, across from the Dollar General, and then the front yard of the Haven Administrative Office at 1807 Plum Street. So I wanted to make sure that I mentioned where those boxes are. It's a huge need right now, so if anybody is in need of a little bit of extra help with food, those are some options, especially if you have kids. Those are good things to know about. Um, we're going to try to help everybody in the community with resources, knowing what to do, know where to go, know what your rights are, and how to get the help you need if you have been a victim of a situation. All of those things, and you help us by just doing your part. If you see one of our fugitives that we've listed here, well, they're not ours, they're Lowndes County's. But if you see one of them out somewhere, if you see a missing person we've talked about, if you see anything like that in the area, do your part. That's all we need in return. Um, so I think that's probably about what we're going to cover tonight. I spent a lot of time on AJ Flukas. I wasn't going to, but I'm glad I did. So if anybody in the area does see him, be looking around the Cook County area. Um, he may be in and out of Lowndes, but likely not as much. So look around the Cook County area. If you see him, share that information. You can go straight to the Lowndes County Sheriff's Department website. You can share a tip online. Just make sure that we get that information. Call the Cook County Sheriff's Office. Call whatever county you happen to see him in at the time. If you know that he's in a certain place every week, let them know. Back up the information we've also shared. All right. And everybody, keep South Georgia accountable this week, because there are a lot of people that have been victimized and they need it. Also pay attention, Tiffany Foster, for everybody in the Georgia area who knows about Tiffany Foster. She's still missing. However, it looks like Reginald Robertson, her fiance at the time of her disappearance, and her former neighbor will both be headed to court. It looks like they're going to opt for a non-jury trial, and they will be going to court going to trial rather, in Coweta County. There's a trial date right now of March 21st on the docket. That's probably going to get changed around, but we're keeping our eye on it. So don't forget about Tiffany as well. Even though that's over in Coweta County, we like to help people out that are close by. So make sure that people who are close enough rally around that family over the next couple of weeks. It's going to be difficult. A lot of difficult things are going to come to light, but who knows? Maybe something will come to light for the right person who saw something the weekend that she disappeared, or the week that she disappeared, rather, and be able to finally not only get justice through the criminal system, but also be able to find her and put her to rest. Her children miss her miserably. Her sister does. It's very sad. So hopefully we can help bring that family some comfort if somebody saw something that week. All right. We will be back. We have some videos to put out this week, so look out for those. And I appreciate everybody tuning in for this. We're getting a few more people than I thought we would initially, so thank you so much for helping us out. And we'll be back live next Saturday, 8 p.m. Eastern time, like always. And we'll have a few things midweek as well for you. Some Broken Arrow things, probably some fugitive stuff, and maybe some news updates. All right. Have a good night.